Oh man, hey y'all, Scott here, and if you couldn't already tell, I had a crazy night last night. This lamp didn't stand a fucking chance. I was at a leak party. You could tell by the amount of bullshit in the air. It was crazy. There was Photoshop and overcompensation everywhere. But it got me to think, remember the good old days when the Nintendo Switch was merely just a bunch of forum posts and Photoshop trash? The Great Depression, huh? Absolutely adorable. You see, I was a Nintendo fan from 2015 to 2016. I know what true despair feels like, and yes, I do accept a gasp as a response. Picture this, Nintendo's release schedule is getting drier and drier by the second. Barely any games come out, and when they do, I mean, it was definitely a bit much to call them games in the first place. Nintendo was obviously giving up on their failing home console, the Wii U, and their successful handheld, the Nintendo 3DS, was still receiving games, albeit what felt like a lot of filler and older games finally being brought over from Japan, with some solid titles sprinkled in there. Nintendo wasn't announcing much, wasn't talking about the future enough, and it felt rainy. The only thing keeping us Nintendo fans hopeful was 8% of the English alphabet, NX. Nintendo announced the existence of a new home console they were developing codenamed NX all the way back in 2015, and for the next year and a half, the rumors and leaks were going effing wild until it was formally unveiled as the Nintendo Switch on October 20th, 2016. And let me tell you, that was a satisfying day to be a fan. But let's take a look at the history of rumors and leaks that led up to the system's unveil. I'm mainly going to be focusing on the stuff prior to the Nintendo Switch reveal on October 20th, just because that's back when rumors were rumors and leaks were leaks, the good old days, I just think that's a good place to cap things off at. Starting things off in a little year I like to call 2014, a rumor surfaced in January detailing an upcoming Nintendo platform that was a hybrid between a handheld and a home console. The name was Nintendo Fusion, a solid name if I do say so myself. Nintendo actually owns the domain name nintendofusion.com, however this was back in 2003 and was for a promotional music and video game festival Nintendo held from 2003 to 2006. The Fusion console was apparently two parts, named the Fusion DS and the Fusion Terminal, unlike the all-in-one the Nintendo Switch turned out to be. The specs were all listed, and from what it seems, the Fusion DS was like a luxury souped-up 3DS, complete with two motorized circle pads, 3G, GPS, thumbprint sensor, Bluetooth, the works, including a 3DS card slot. The Fusion Terminal was a console and was basically a souped-up Wii U. It could play Wii U games, 3DS games, and Fusion-specific games. It also came in two versions, one with a disc drive and one without a disc drive. It seems that both consoles would have interacted in some way, and the Fusion DS would have been a controller for the Fusion Terminal, in addition to the Fusion Terminal using Wii Remote controllers as well. I personally think this idea was a bit too overcomplicated. It's not easy to sell. Like, the Fusion DS and Terminal are two separate products, but I guess they work well together, but they don't seem to play the same games, and I think having a version with a disc drive and one without a disc drive is, get this, dumb. It just makes things way too confusing for the consumer. This obviously turned out to be false, but the idea of Nintendo combining their handhelds and consoles was definitely there before the Nintendo NX was even announced. And fast forward to March 17th, 2015 when the Nintendo NX was even announced at a shareholders meeting. At this meeting, Nintendo unveiled their partnership with mobile game developer DNA to create mobile phone games based on their franchises. Nintendo decided to announce they were developing a new home console so then people didn't get the assumption that they were leaving the hardware business. However, they didn't reveal much about the upcoming hardware, not even if it was a handheld or a home console. They basically said, wait until next year. But that didn't stop the speculation station from opening its doors, as 2015 was the year that various patents were filed by Nintendo that many assumed were for the NX. A console with no disc drive, shoulder buttons that doubled as scroll wheels, and an oval controller that is fundamentally one big touchscreen with two analog sticks popped on. Hello everybody and welcome to Critique That Leak, the first game show to ever laugh in the face of continuity. Hello everybody and welcome to Critique That Leak, the first game show to implement the per leak measurement. For example, we're getting canceled per 5 leaks, and my god, this is utterly terrifying to me. Let's critique some leaks! Of course, a lot of this wasn't and was obviously fake. Shit, that was 5 leaks. My yuck glands are about to burst at the lack of continuity. What a riot. The Nintendo NX received a fair amount of garbage fake junk, trying to pass itself off as non-garbage fake junk, so let's take a look at some garbage fake junk, the first of which is the Nintendo XDS, uploaded around June of 2015.
What you'll see is pretty self-explanatory, so stay tuned.
Obviously, the leaker was trying to make this come off as a private presentation Nintendo was holding to people such as third-party developers or retail partners or whatever. But that is a voice clip of Bill Trinen taken from somewhere else. You didn't need to pop that in there. Not including the voice clip would have made this more convincing. Whoa, slow down there! I don't want the low-quality CGI patrol in my case. Regardless, the XDS seems to be a portable Wii U 3DS combo system. The use of the dual screens is definitely in the oddball arena, however. Like, why does it show the menu screen of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U on the bottom, but then the top screen shows gameplay? You can flip the screen around and make it a single screen experience, which is a neat concept. Overall, it's not a convincing video in the slightest, but not a bad one. September 2015, an interview was posted that apparently revealed a hearty dose of info about the NX. NX was a platform, one that would stretch across multiple devices, two of which would of course be a handheld and a home console. The handheld was to be unveiled in spring 2016 and would release at the end of 2016, or at the very latest spring 2017. The console was to not have a disc drive and would connect to the portable in a format similar to how the Wii U connected to the Wii U gamepad. Specs would be close to the PS4 and Xbox One, and games would look better on the home console, which would release a few months after the handheld. Games on the platform included Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Sonic, Metroid, F-Zero, a 3D Mario, and Zelda. It was fake. In October 2015, the Wall Street Journal reported that Nintendo began to distribute development kits for the system to third-party developers. Later in December, it was rumored that Nintendo was to showcase the NX behind closed doors at CES, which didn't happen. January 2016 rolls around, and this is where leaks and rumors start coming in full force. But I find it interesting that the majority of the rumors in 2015 pegged the NX as a combo system, a separate handheld and console that work in tandem rather than a handheld you just plug into your TV. Circa Toto reported that Bandai Namco was in development of a fair amount of games for the NX, including Smash Bros. For the launch of the system. Now, it was never clarified if it was a wholly new game in the franchise or an updated version of Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, but nevertheless, that happened, it didn't. The NX was rumored to work alongside multiple devices, including smartphones and even competing game consoles, specifically the PlayStation 4. Smartphones? Kinda. On the Nintendo Switch, you can connect your Nintendo Network ID, which then tracks the friends you made on Nintendo mobile games, and you can add them as friends on your Switch, and that's about it. PlayStation 4 compatibility? Please. Analysts speculated that the portable console was to come first in 2016, and the console would come in 2017. Then reports started coming out that confirmed the device was both a handheld and a console, and development kits were starting to ship, which was reported by the Wall Street Journal in October. February 2016, it was rumored that the Nintendo NX was on par with the Xbox One in terms of raw power, and the device was a handheld that connected to the TV via a wireless HDMI dongle. I always thought that idea was really intriguing, and it is wholeheartedly possible. It would have used a similar technology used in the Wii U, where the Wii U streams video to the gamepad screen, except now the handheld would stream video to the TV. It was also reported by Super Metal Dave 64 that Final Fantasy 15 and the Final Fantasy 7 remake would make their way to the NX, which still hasn't happened, but hey, who knows. The Nintendo Cross, Crucifixion's big comeback. It was released around the same time as the Nintendo XDS leak, and it takes a very similar form, being filmed as if it was a presentation or whatever. I do not like this concept, and it's also not a very professional looking video. So it's a console that plays Wii U and 3DS games, and you can stream them to your mobile device or Wii U gamepad. I mean, that's more of a nice bonus feature rather than a complete selling point. The controller included with the console is a hacked up Photoshop of the Wii U Pro controller too. The image looks too pixelated to be official from Nintendo, and you can see the image was sloppily edited to have a transparent background. The lines look too effing jaggy. So after all that, let me pick what exactly about this leak was fake. Yeah, that sounds about right. March 2016 was when Activision apparently was going crazy with support on the NX. Considering the Switch has been on the market for about a year and the only Activision game we've gotten is Skylanders, I think it's fair to say this rumor is bogus. It also details the new Call of Duty game for 2016, subtitled Bloodlines, was launching with the system, with Destiny following suit in 2017. The same guy who talked all that Activision garbage also brought forth a rumor of Luigi's Mansion 3 coming to the NX. Basically, this would be a technical showcase for the system, looking like a living 3D cartoon with an AR multiplayer mode shoved in there. Alright. Then some insider from NeoGAF said we'd get some info about the NX before E3, and oh boy, the vague. I love the word info. That meant if the president of Nintendo happened to sneeze the word NX before E3, we couldn't say the insider was wrong. A user on Reddit posted in early April of 2016 some rumored info, including the system being based on x86 architecture and would support the use of an additional screen. This was a relatively soft supply of info, so it couldn't instantly be swatted down. However, later on, some people dismissed the rumor as false by reputable sources such as Emily Rogers, but we'll get to her in a bit, and a bit has totally happened, and here comes Emily Rogers. A games journalist with loads of know-how and connections within the industry, Rogers played a big role in the NX rumors world and reported that NX would receive a few ports of Wii U games: Breath of the Wild, Splatoon, Super Mario Maker, and Super Smash Bros. This made a lot of sense, as Splatoon, Smash Bros, and Mario Maker had big online communities. It would have made sense to bring those games to the newest platform to keep those communities alive and talking about the games. Breath of the Wild also made sense just because it was the big new Zelda game still in development as Nintendo's next console was looming over. It just worked bringing it to the new platform in addition to the Wii U. Now that we have the Switch, the only one of these that has actually happened as of January 2018 has been Breath of the Wild. The other three may have been misinformation or haven't happened yet. Splatoon 2 launched on the Switch and could have started development as a part of the original, and Smash Bros. And Mario Maker could still happen, specifically Smash Bros., but personally I believe a sequel of Mario Maker is more likely than a port. A user on NeoGAF doubled down on this information regarding the Wii U ports, but also brought up that the NX would be more powerful than the PS4. Rumors about Breath of the Wild appearing on the NX persisted alongside some others. Emily Rogers struck again a few days later with reports on the latest Zelda game. She reconfirmed that Breath of the Wild would release on the Wii U and NX, while also throwing out there that the game would feature voice acting aside from the protagonist Link, and would allow you to choose between playing as a male or a female. All of this ended up happening except for the choice of gender, as Sears producer Eiji Onuma later confirmed that they thought about the idea, but later decided against it. Rumors and speculation were going crazy, saying Nintendo would reveal the NX at E3 2016 and then would release that holiday. So Nintendo decided to throw that speculation out the window in late April, confirming the NX would release in March of 2017. Breath of the Wild would release on NX and Wii U, and was also pushed from its initial 2016 launch to a vague 2017 one. However, Nintendo accidentally labeled the game with a March 2017 release date on their website, but later took that down and replaced it with simply 2017. To top it all off, Nintendo confirmed NX would not be revealed or talked about at E3, and E3 2016 would focus entirely on The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which was still untitled at that point. Nintendo fans were completely puzzled and bummed. 2016 was already a bit of a dry year, but there was hope in the form of getting an NX news blowout that summer. That never happened. We'd have to wait even longer for concrete info. A few days later, Nintendo filed a trademark for the term 3D swap, which a few people speculated was the official name for NX, but of course that wasn't the case. May 2016 was the month rumors started to come out about the Nintendo NX utilizing cartridges as its main format instead of discs. This rumor continually kept on getting more and more real, as when Nintendo later trademarked the title Breath of the Wild, not only did it mention video game discs, but cartridges as well. Emily Rogers later dismissed the earlier rumor of the NX using x86 architecture and described the power of the device to be much more comparable to the Xbox One rather than the PlayStation 4. Later in May, Nintendo's president Tatsumi Kimishima stated that the NX was neither a successor to the Wii U or 3DS and would basically be a new way to play games, not a replacement. Sure. You ever have the lust to play Zelda on a soap dish? We've all been there, and this leak tried to please that primal instinct. This is obviously based off the patent Nintendo filed, and I gotta say, this is really well done and seemed relatively real. Of course, patents rarely look this close to the final product, but I gotta say, it looked fucking stupid enough to be real. June 2016, the month of E3. Early on, it was reported that the NX would be VR compatible. Of course, currently, that is far from the case. E3 rolled around and Nintendo finally gave basement loads of footage of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Everything shown of the game here was simply the Wii U version, with no NX version in sight. However, Just Dance 2017 was announced for NX, and everybody issued a sigh of relief. A Reddit user pointed out a trademark for Resident Evil 7 mentioning cartridges, implying it could come to the NX, but it was also pointed out that other Resident Evil games from the past included mentions of these as well. July 2017 was the biggest yet for the Nintendo NX, as we finally started to get information from trustworthy sources. A major announcement regarding the platform occurred on July 22nd, 2016 at the Sonic the Hedgehog 25th birthday celebration at Comic-Con, where two Sonic games were revealed, Sonic Mania and Project Sonic 2017. Sonic Mania was initially revealed only for the PC, PS4, and Xbox One, but Project Sonic 2017, later titled Sonic Forces, was announced to be coming to all three of those platforms, plus the NX. This made me wonder, does this mean the NX is powerful enough to easily house a multi-platform release like this? To be fair, Sega has released Sonic games for current and past generations of consoles simultaneously before. Sonic Unleashed released for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, while also releasing for the PlayStation 2 and Wii. But the fact that Sega was confident that their next big 3D Sonic game would run on the NX made me feel like this wasn't just going to be a repackaged Wii U. Eurogamer decided to spit out the biggest leak regarding the NX yet. They reported Nintendo NX was a portable system with detachable controllers that hooked up to a docking station, allowing it to display on a TV. This was spot on, and based on the mock-up Eurogamer provided, it's obvious this was the real deal nowadays, and was the most concrete leak we had gotten up to this point. Takashi Mochizuki of the Wall Street Journal brought up that the NX would be compatible with Nintendo smartphone games, even though we have yet to really see that happen. August 2016, an anonymous developer threw out a rough sketch on the design of the NX, showing off stuff like the share button and the separated D-pad, featuring 4 separate buttons rather than the cross design Nintendo's known for. The developer also described how the controllers detached via a button on the back. Also, for some reason, the placements of the cartridge slot, power, headphone jack, and TV connector, and the SD card slot are reversed on the sketch, but it's totally whatever. It was later discovered Nintendo filed a patent for detachable controllers in a manner similar to the leaks describing them. Another patent was filed describing an IR camera that would be able to measure distance and hand gestures, exactly what appears on the bottom of the Nintendo Switch's right Joy-Con controller. Let's Play Videogames.com reported on the detachable controllers of the NX being more than meets the eye, as they were told the controllers featured motion control and force feedback. Obviously, the Joy-Con controllers feature motion capabilities, and the force feedback is definitely the HD rumble. However, they were also told that Wii remotes would be compatible with multiplayer titles. While that is definitely possible with a software patch, as Wii remotes can be synced with Bluetooth, it hasn't happened, and I can't foresee it ever doing so. September 2016 comes about, and we are only a month away from the Nintendo NX being revealed, but being a Nintendo fan during this time was every bit of the word torture. Nintendo kept on saying, we'll reveal the NX in 2016, and every single day felt overwhelmingly, why haven't they revealed the NX yet, Emily Rogers posted what to expect from the final NX product on her blog, everything from the ho-hum battery life, 32GB of internal storage, 6.2-inch multi-touchscreen with no stylus, the console being region-free, it was all pretty spot on. A journalist who predicted the existence of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire teased that the 3DS game Mario Sports Superstars was coming to NX. Yeah, that's no. Nintendo's Amiibo website updated and revealed that the Amiibo figures for Breath of the Wild were set to be released on March 4th, 2017. Now, Amiibo figures generally release alongside the game, therefore, which implied not only Breath of the Wild was coming out on March 4th, but as a launch title for the NX. In the end, it was off by one day, as Breath of the Wild and the Switch launched on March 3rd, but still. Rumors were abuzz when a supposed Foxconn employee posted a sketch of what the NX was. It included a handheld that connected to a docking station which housed a hard disk drive, cartridge slot, and seemingly boosted the system's performance. And then this was later completely debunked, as the image was initially posted in a forum talking about NX design concepts. The Nintendo Focus, a leak posted on 4chan, credibility is an understatement. Games would include Breath of the Wild, a new Super Smash Bros. Alongside a remake of Smash Bros. Melee, F-Zero Squared, re-releases of Pokemon Gold and Silver, a new 3D Mario game, Animal Crossing Election Year, Pikmin 4, ports of Pokemon Sun and Moon, and a new IP from Goodfield Pilio released on March 10th, 2017. You see, I wouldn't have believed this if it wasn't words on the internet. I mean, it's words on the internet. The credibility credits itself at that point. The final month of the worst waiting any fan could ever endure, totally. October 2016. Effin' people were getting super pumped about Nintendo's NYC store closing off a section for a special event because, whoa, wait, that could be an NX reveal, and it ended up being a f***ing Disney Magical World 2 event. A lot of people were talking Beyond Good and Evil 2. The sequel was presumably cancelled after being absent for years, but this month, rumors indicated that it was entering development, with some rumors stating it would be either on the NX or even an NX exclusive. A rumor about the packaging and the price of the NX floated around about a week before the reveal. Apparently the final name was simply NX, and the tagline was, "Interact with your games on the go." A basic model would be priced at $300, and a bundle of some sort would be priced at $400, yikes and a half. The investment banking firm Macquarie Group stated that Nintendo would reveal the NX the following week at a high price. This was on October 14th, and with the reveal happening on October 20th, they at least got that right. However, the price of the Nintendo Switch wasn't revealed until January. On October 19th, Emily Rogers stated that an NX announcement was coming incredibly soon, and wouldn't you know, blam. Nintendo tweeted out that on the morning of October 20th, 2016, we'd finally get a glimpse at their next system. And finally, October 20th comes, and the Nintendo Nintendo NX is no more, as it became the Nintendo Switch, revealed via a 3-minute trailer on Nintendo's YouTube channel. Now that wasn't everything rumored and leaked about the Nintendo Switch before it was revealed, it was mainly the good majority, the main ones. Rumors are something anybody can post, so if I actually went over everything, we'd be here all honkin' year. In the end, the point of this was to highlight how much it f***ing blew to be a Nintendo fan back then. Well, that was a hearty dose of garbage. I'm getting kind of tired of seeing all these leaks, so I decided I'm going to Washington, D.C. to propose a leak tax to Congress. Wish me luck. It went really great. Everybody listened to me, and at the end they gave me this slick coin, and they told me to come again next time, so I think we have this one in the bag. Son of a bitch, that was an AA meeting.